friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we talk about manipulation and disinformation of the Russian media. Television war as a new normal. It is hard for a European who turns on the Russian show 60 Minutes by Skabeeva to believe that it is not the theatre of the absurd in front of him, but news. In the episode from September 8th, the viewer is literally immersed in the picture of Russia's inevitable victory. Villages are liberated, the front is moving, Ukrainian troops are crumbled, sanctions mean nothing. Behind this endless listing lies the main goal: to normalize the war as a background for life, and to instill that resistance is pointless. Geography instead of people. First of all, the program builds a map of successes: Khoroshe, Sosnovka, Krasnoarmeysk. Each village turns into an important strategic breakthrough. But behind the dry titles, there is not a single word about the price, not about destroyed houses, not about refugees, not about the dead. This is a deliberate substitution. The viewer is taught to perceive war as a board game, where the main thing is the movement of chips, not human life, records as a drug. The culmination of the broadcast is the largest raid of drones and missiles, more than 800 per night. In the frame, smoke over the government quarter of Kiev. For Russian viewers, this is presented as a triumph. For the external audience, as a message: we can get everywhere. This is television logic. Each subsequent strike must be greater than the previous one. Otherwise, the viewer will get bored. This is how the cult of escalation is formed. Sanctions, not working. The obligatory block is about Europe. The sanctions, they say, did not work. The Russian economy is growing. This thesis is designed to have a double effect: to instill in the Russians a sense of invulnerability and to feed European fatigue. In reality, the opposite is true. The military economy eats up resources, replaces social spending, and preserves dependence on raw materials. But the television picture is designed so that the European viewer, if he suddenly watches, asks himself, is it worth continuing? Russia tried to shell the government quarter, thus demonstrating that the threats of the head of Russia, Putin, regarding strikes on the so-called decision-making centers are not just talk, but real intentions and plans of the Russian leadership for the subsequent period of the Russian-Ukrainian war. The only thing that continues to interest the president of Russia is the capitulation of Ukraine. Like all residents of Kiev, I spent that night in a bomb shelter, or rather under the stairs, where we usually hide during such attacks. Russia as an aggressor will not stop unless it is stopped. And now there is more proof of this. We hope that this information will reach Washington, and that instead of carrots, the president will start using a stick. But already, 2 or 3 times after negotiations with President Trump, after all the attempts, Putin again inflicted increasingly destructive blows on us. The shelling of the cabinet of ministers is a very significant story. This is a message to all cabinets of ministers of the world, to prime ministers. Peace without parameters. At the end of the broadcast, there is a story about the peace process and a possible call between Putin and Trump. But peace is not the goal here, but a smokescreen. There is not a word in the studio about security guarantees, international mechanisms, or the future of Ukraine. There are only hints that Europe is in the way, America is hesitating, and Russia is supposedly ready to negotiate. This is a pseudo-peace that works as a lever of pressure. Drag out the negotiations while the front does its job. Europe and the TV war. For Europe, it is important to see in these broadcasts not local news, but a political technology aimed at us. Russian television sells war as normality, as a genre, as a daily serial. You were on the program Empire of Lies. See you soon.